A few years ago, they cut her from the squad. They watched her drag an entire league forward almost single-handedly for 2 straight seasons. And now, the moment the final roster dropped this week, a strange thing happened online. A huge wave of people got furious that she was included. Not because her game wasn't good enough. Because it was too good. Because her name is too big to ignore. Stick around, because by the time this video ends, you'll understand exactly what's really happening behind this story. And trust me, it is nothing like what the loudest voices online are claiming. Somewhere behind closed doors, in a meeting none of us will ever witness, a call was made in the last couple of days that's about to reshape the entire picture of women's basketball heading into this fall. There's one name on that new roster that's going to keep opposing coaches up at night, force entire game plans to be rewritten, and turn a tournament in Berlin into something far bigger than anyone expected. But here's the part almost nobody is talking about. The real danger to this team might have nothing to do with what happens on the court. Keep watching, because what comes next is going to completely change the way you look at this roster. Before we dive deeper, I need one small favor. If you've ever noticed that the people who work hardest for respect are somehow the ones who get torn apart the most, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists to say the things people are quietly thinking but rarely say out loud. Subscribe, because I promise, you don't want to miss what's coming in the next few minutes. On August 6, 2026, the managing director of USA Basketball, Sue Bird, stepped in front of national cameras and read out the 12 names heading to Berlin, Germany for the FIBA Women's World Cup, running from September 4th through the 13th. 12 names. 12 spots. And one of them belongs to a player who, just 2 years back, wasn't even part of the conversation. Standing beside her on this list are 3 other first-timers making their senior national team debut, joined by seasoned WNBA stars, a 4-time league MVP, a 2-time MVP, and a group of proven veterans who've carried this program for years. In total, 7 players on this roster are stepping onto the World Cup stage for the very first time. 7. That's not a small shift. That's a full changing of the guard, happening right in front of our eyes. And yet, instead of excitement, the announcement set off something completely different. Within minutes of the roster becoming public, a message started spreading fast across basketball social media. It's worth breaking down exactly what it said, because it exposes exactly where this entire debate is really coming from. The argument claimed she shouldn't have made the roster, not because of her performance, but because of her fan base. The theory was that if she doesn't get the playing time some fans expect, those same fans will turn on the coaches and even her own teammates. Sit with that for a second. Not one word about her assist totals. Not one word about her shooting numbers. Not one word about whether she actually makes this team stronger. The whole argument was built around something that has absolutely nothing to do with basketball. And the strangest part isn't that one person said it. It's how quickly thousands of people jumped on board and agreed. So let's do what almost nobody arguing about this online has actually bothered to do. Let's look at the basketball. She was named MVP of the World Cup qualifying tournament earlier this year. This season, she's putting up over 21 points and 8 assists a night, currently sitting at the top of the league in assists. Those aren't the numbers of someone picked for marketing reasons. Those are the numbers of a player a coaching staff is actively building an offense around. Now compare that to 2 years ago, when she was left completely off the Olympic roster. Back then, the explanation was reasonable enough. She'd barely played a dozen WNBA games before that roster got locked in, and the team already had a settled rotation. At the time, it was a defensible decision. This time is different. Sue Bird herself said, flat out, there was no debate about her inclusion. No question at all. Let that sit for a moment, because it directly knocks down the loudest argument circulating right now. Here's where things get genuinely complicated, and honestly, where I think a lot of this frustration, even if it's aimed at the wrong person, actually comes from something real. A standout rookie point guard averaging nearly 20 points and close to 5 assists a game, arguably the strongest MVP challenger in the league this season, didn't make the roster. A 2-time World Cup and Olympic gold medalist didn't make it either. A longtime veteran who has represented this program for years was also left off. When Sue Bird was asked directly about the rookie snub, her answer was almost brutally honest. She called her a tremendous talent, someone incredible to watch grow, and then admitted she genuinely could not find anyone on the roster to remove to make room for her. That right there should be the actual headline. Not, she shouldn't be here because of her fans. The real headline is this: 12 roster spots simply weren't enough for the amount of talent currently in this league. That's not a scandal. That's a good problem to have. That's exactly what a growing, thriving league looks like from the outside. Now here's the part one really need you to sit with, because this is where the conversation stops being about basketball entirely and starts being about something a lot harder to admit out loud. Take away every stat. Take away every roster debate. Take away every reasonable argument about depth at the guard position. What's left is a much simpler, much more uncomfortable question. Are people actually upset that the most talked about player in the sport is about to be handed the ball, the tempo, and quite possibly a leadership role on Team USA, ahead of former MVPs, ahead of Olympic champions, ahead of players who've carried this program for over a decade? Because if you actually sit down and watch the film, there is no version of Team USA where leaving her home makes this squad better. None. The argument simply falls apart the second you compare it against the numbers. So if it isn't really about basketball, then what is it about? Here's something impossible to deny. Whether you're a fan of hers or you can't stand her, every arena she's stepped into over the past 2 seasons has seen attendance surge. By every measurable business metric, she is the single biggest draw women's basketball has ever produced. Full stop. Now take that exact same effect and place it inside an international tournament on a global stage with cameras from every corner of the world watching. Without her, Team USA walks into Berlin with one true global superstar and a very good, battle-tested supporting cast. With her, they walk in with a second engine entirely, a player who controls the pace, finds cutters through traffic, and pulls up from well beyond the arc the moment a defense sags off her even slightly. Put her alongside an elite scorer in transition, next to a lengthy 2-time MVP, next to a relentless motor in the front court, and you are not looking at a downgrade in any sense of the word. You're looking at one of the most dangerous rosters this program has fielded in years. That's not a hot take. That's simply what happens when you add elite talent to an already elite team. Now, there is a real, legitimate conversation buried somewhere underneath all this noise, and it deserves to be said honestly instead of dressed up as a basketball argument. A portion of her fan base has, at times, genuinely crossed lines, targeting opposing players, referees, and even her own teammates online. That is a real problem. It deserves its own conversation and its own real solution. But punishing a player for the behavior of a small fraction of her supporters isn't a basketball decision. It isn't even a coherent argument. Every major superstar in every major sport has a fringe of fans who take things too far, a modern fandom problem made worse by algorithms designed to amplify outrage. And none of that has anything to do with whether she's earned her spot on this roster. 2 completely separate issues. One messy argument pretending they're the same thing. Now you know exactly how to spot that difference the next time you see it online. Think back to 2024. Remember the snub. Remember how the entire tournament felt just a little smaller because the sport's biggest attraction wasn't on the floor. Remember the endless, what if, conversation that followed that team around for the whole competition, game after game. This time is different, and it matters that it's different. This isn't a bonus roster spot added just to sell a few extra jerseys. She's walking into Berlin as the floor general the coaching staff is building the entire offense around, right from day one. If you've been waiting for a real redemption story in modern sports, this is it, unfolding in real time, and it happens this September. Before we get to the ending, sit with one more thing for a second. The players, the actual coaches and teammates inside this locker room, they are not the ones fueling this fire. Sue Bird herself made it crystal clear there was no internal debate about her spot on this team. The resentment you're seeing isn't coming from inside the program. It's coming from timelines, from comment sections, from people who, for reasons that have very little to do with basketball, have decided her success is something to resent rather than something to celebrate. And that distinction tells you everything you need to know about where this anger is really coming from. So here's where things are headed. In less than a month, she puts on a Team USA jersey for the very first time in a major international tournament. The whole world will be watching. The pressure will be enormous. And there's still one question nobody has answered yet. One that could decide how this entire tournament gets remembered. Does she start? Because if she doesn't start, if the coaching staff decides to ease her in off the bench behind a veteran point guard through pool play, brace yourself, because this entire argument comes roaring back, and this time it's going to be louder than anything we've seen this week. Every take, every hot debate, every angry comment section is going to explode all over again, and honestly, it might get worse before it gets better. And picture it for a second. She walks out for that opening tip in Berlin, wearing that jersey for the very first time on a stage this big. The lights are on. The whole world is watching. And if this roster does exactly what it looks built to do, if it rolls through pool play, handles the pressure without blinking, and turns heads on a truly global stage, something interesting happens. Something a lot of people online don't seem to be preparing for. Every single person who spent this week typing out why she didn't deserve this spot, why her fans are the problem, why the roster should have looked different, they're going to have to sit with that. Quietly. No deleting the comment at 2 a.m., hoping nobody screenshotted it. No pretending it never happened. No quietly moving on to the next controversy like this one never existed. Just sitting with it. Watching the results speak for themselves. Because that's how this always plays out, isn't it? Every single time. The noise happens before the games are even played. The arguments get the loudest, the takes get the boldest, the comment sections get the messiest, all before there's a single point on the scoreboard to actually prove anyone right or wrong. It's easy to have an opinion when nothing's been tested yet. And then the ball goes up. The whistle blows. The game actually starts. And suddenly, all of that noise, all those predictions, all those confident arguments, none of it matters anymore. Only what happens on the court does. That's the only thing that's ever going to settle this. So here we are, less than a month away from finding out. Less than a month away from watching this entire storyline either quietly fizzle out or completely explode into something nobody saw coming. And I genuinely mean that. Whichever direction this goes, whether it's redemption or round 2 of the controversy, it is going to be one of the most talked about storylines of this entire tournament. Maybe the most talked about. We are about to find out exactly which version of this story we get. The redemption arc everyone's hoping for, or the reignited controversy nobody wants, but half the internet is secretly bracing for. And I am not going anywhere until we do. I'll be right here, breaking down every single game, every minute she plays, every minute she doesn't, every moment that actually matters, so you don't have to sort through the noise yourself. So before you go, do a few things for me, and I promise it'll take less than 10 seconds. If this video gave you a perspective on this story you haven't heard anywhere else, if it made you stop and rethink something even for a second, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people who need to hear the other side of this argument instead of just the loudest side. Drop a comment down below and tell me honestly, straight up, do you think she starts on opening night in Berlin? I want to know what you think right now before we all find out who was right. And subscribe while you're at it, because I promise you, this story is only just getting started. When it all plays out this September, game by game, moment by moment, you're going to want to be here for every single second of it.